I'm a human being, and I felt sad about the Queen's death.
People across the globe are processing very different emotions about the loss of the Queen. Sue Caribou survived residential school in Canada, and although she says there is a feeling of grief, there is also an overwhelming feeling of worry as well.
What's going to happen to our future now with the treaty rights?
Caribou knows that although residential schools were enacted by Canada, they were done in the name of the Crown. Queen Victoria reigned when the schools began, but Queen Elizabeth II sat on the Crown the longest while residential schools existed in Canada.
It's hard to forgive people that had destroyed me and our people. I'm still living it. My children are living it. And I don't want my grandchildren to feel that hurt.
Caribou says she wished the Queen had done more in her rule to address residential schools and unfulfilled treaties signed between Indigenous peoples and the Crown. Assistant Professor of History and Indigenous Studies at the University of Manitoba, Sean Carleton, says Queen Elizabeth II was often criticized for taking an inactive, hands-off role in pressuring Canada to honor the treaties that were supposed to be carried out in her name. He says one could argue King Charles III has seemed to take a more active interest in Indigenous settler relations, and he may exert more influence in ensuring Canada takes reconciliation more seriously.
There's the possibility that a new monarch who wants to define his own reign in a bit of a different way, might play a more active role in reckoning, I think, with a lot of the criticism of the British Empire. And there's always that hope that treaty relationships, they're supposed to be two-way, right? They're supposed to be reciprocal. And for the last 150 so years, that has not been the case in Canada. And the Crown as an institution deserves the criticism it gets for that. But, just because you've done something one way in the past doesn't mean you can't change.
Carleton says this is a crucial time for Canadians who can both acknowledge the passing of the Queen while critically thinking about the impacts of British imperialism and colonialism. He points to the tragedy in James Smith Cree Nation.
I think it's important for folks to realize that it is somewhat disappointing that the passing of Queen Elizabeth II eclipsed so many other pressing news issues in Canada, including, the tragedies on James Smith Cree Nation this week, because I think we can draw a direct link between the legacies of British imperialism and colonialism and the genocidal policies that Canada undertook in the name of the Crown and things playing out and creating those negative lived experiences for Indigenous nations. And the symbol of all of that, which is the Crown.
Caribou says she hopes to see King Charles visit unmarked graves in Canada as the first sign of potential change to come. In Winnipeg, Mike Albanese, City News.